Hello everyone, I'm Gab, and today, to commemorate the fact that I've managed to reach 3,000 subscribers, thank you very much all for that, I decided to do a little, special video for you guys. And today I'm going to teach you how I do a lot of the effects for my videos. And there's only two things that you require for this. You need Adobe After Effects and a plugin known as SABER from Video Copilot. I will leave a link down in the description below. Unfortunately for Adobe After Effects you need a subscription to Adobe, but the Video Copilot plugin is completely free. So once you've loaded your footage and you want to experiment a little bit, this is what you have to do. So you begin with adding a new layer. We'll call it Jerry Saber. And make sure it's white. Sorry. Make sure it's black. Put that in. Then you go to Saber. And if it's installed correctly, you should have it. So it's going to create this. Now normally I always disable the glow first, so I can see. Then you switch the layer mode to screen. So that way it gets rid of all the background, all the black and everything on it. And just on a side note, if ever you want to import, say, gunshot effects or blood or those kind of things, try and avoid using green screen because it's way more of a pain in the ass. And plus, just changing the layer is much simpler. All you have to do is if you have on a black background, you just switch it to light or screen. That's it. That's all you need to do, and you need to place it however you wish. So once you begin, you can go into the stopwatches, press the core end and the core start. So that will allow you to change however you wish. So you start off by clicking on start, and we'll move it to where the saber starts. And then you do the same thing on the other side, like that. And another thing I would recommend doing right now is going to render options and clicking the stopwatch that says motion blur multiply. I'm going to put that to 0 for now. You'll see why in a moment, why this is one of the most useful tools for this effect. So you press U to get all the keyframes visible, and now we can start animating. So you just go by one frame, just press the page down key on your keyboard, and then you grab your tools, and then you just follow the motion of the saber. And I think now's a good time. I could potentially increase the core size. So you go to customize core. What I like to do is I like to boost it to maximum. So the end size 200 and the beginning size. And then what I can do is go to core size and then switch it to the size that fits. So I'm going to keep it, I'd say about 1.5. That way it seems quite consistent with the size of the character. So once I'm done that, I'm going to continue on our keyframes and keep moving. Now we've reached kind of an interesting part of the effect, and this is something that the SABER plugin actually thought ahead of time, is what happens when I end up in a situation like this, where the saber is going behind the object, but if I have to keep animating, like so, it will end up behind an object in the foreground. Now what you can do with this, there's actually a type of mode in this plugin that allows you to actually put a mask over it. I'll show you how. So once we get to this point here, what you want to do is you want to create a basic mask like this. Nothing too complicated, it doesn't like that. And what that's gonna, and so far we can't see anything for the moment. So what you have to go is go to the composites. You have to go to alpha mode and all that stuff. So let's see. You go to composite, alpha mode. It's the other way. It's not mask core. It's enable masks. No, actually no. Sorry, no. It is mask core. Forget what I said. And then when you go into your layer, go to mask pass, add, subtract. Now that doesn't seem like much, and I obviously naturally didn't do a very good job on that, so I will correct that right now. Like so. Like I said, it doesn't have to be too precise. I could even maybe just boost these a little bit here, here, and I'm just pressing G on the keyboard, like that. So you might be thinking, okay, what does that do? Well, watch what happens when I press enable glow. See? The glow actually goes above the mask. So it's like in one of the movies when you actually see an object go by. So of course I'm gonna have to go back and animate my mask. So I'm gonna go to mask path, change that. Once again, I don't have to be too precise with this because the mask doesn't appear straight away. And since the saber is already gone, hasn't even arrived yet, I just put that there. And to be fair, it's only a few frames, so it's not a big deal, so you can get that out of the way. Let's have a look, see what that... I think another thing I might as well do while I'm at it is just add a very, very slight feather. Just, there you go. Just so it blurs a little bit more into the back of the object. So once that mask is done, we can get back to what we were doing. Just wait for that to get out of the screen, like that. So now we can disable the glow. So now we can get back to what we were doing. And the thing is, once you've started, it's pretty much that formula. Now we've reached kind of an interesting point I want to address. So I don't know if you remember when I said that the motion blur feature on the plugin is actually one of the most useful ones in this whole thing. Now I'm going to explain why. So as you will notice, the blades are kind of wobbly. Now I know a lot of people would say, oh, just paint out the saber, that's all you have to do. Well, since these are just crummy little videos, they're not big professional ones, I just like to do sort of like kind of the quicker way, sort of like a slight cheat, you could say. So what you do is you wait till you get to a moment where you don't have any problems with the motion blur, put a keyframe there, make sure it's at 0, and then you animate it as normal, and then you start adding this, and it creates like a motion blur. So you just position the saber for it to match a little bit. Then you go to the next one, put it at 0 again, and then position lightsaber. What I tend to do, my advice is to keep it kind of straight, in how it's aligned with the hand of the blade, so it seems a little bit more natural. So it's going a little bit wonky there, but that's okay. Because here's the thing, the other thing that's great about the Saber plugin is that once you enable the glow, it will hide a lot of things. So if I already did that now, you wouldn't really notice too much. And so this is just going to continue. Now this is a really good example here. So we'll just lower that, put it in position, like that, and add a lot of motion blur. And sometimes it doesn't do it completely accurately, so sometimes it's best to actually go back a little bit and just adjust the motion blur to where it is. And there you go. That's, again, it's a little bit messy, but because it's only on screen for literally moments, it's not really going to be too noticeable. So you go back here, line it as normal. There's a good opportunity for a good motion blur that isn't going to get too much in the way. Oh, and watch out, when you're moving these, make sure you're not moving the entire thing. Make sure you're moving the individual points. Otherwise it's going to mess up your entire project. And trust me when I say you don't want that. So right now we've reached an interesting part where once you've practically done the Saber portion, it's the same theory for Tom's, just except obviously for a much larger saber. But once you've done that, we're now going to reach the point of sort of the extra things that add a little bit more credibility to the whole video. So once you've done that, I'm going to teach you how to do the the blasts, you know, when the lightsabers make contact and everything like that. Now, I use something called Sapphire, which is basically like a plugin for all kinds of different effects. Now, granted, that's very costly, so I'm going to teach you guys the way I would do it if I was doing this, you know, without that plugin. So what I'd recommend doing is creating a new solid. Let's make it, instead of making it comp size, let's make it square, like that. We're not going to make it, so I'm going to recommend doing a new composition. So we'll call this blast, and we'll make it about 500 pixels on each side, so it's square. Then what you do, you pick your shape tool, your ellipse tool, you put a fill of white and a stroke that's kind of a yellowish, kind of dark yellow a little bit, and then you just hold it down and you make an ellipse. Now obviously we have a few adjustments to make. I'll increase the stroke size, so you get something that looks a bit like this. So you leave there, go back to your project, import the blast layer, and put it there. Now obviously it's massive, so we're going to just shrink that down. So we go back to the point where the saber makes contact, and thankfully with these old episodes they would literally indicate when that happens. So we're going to do some keyframing. So we're just going to do a few frames, so 1, 2, 3. That's all we have to do, like that. And we'll put a keyframe here. But the reason I'm putting it here is because it's going to vanish. So when it makes impact, put the keyframe here for the opacity, go back 1, put that to 0, go back here, count to 3, and make that disappear. So you're probably thinking, well, that just looks odd. Well, let me show you something. So you go to blur and select Gaussian blur, which is one of the most common ones to use. Increase the blur significantly by about maybe somewhere between 150 and 200. So already that's kind of making kind of a blast, but of course we can always change the size like that to make it a little bit more interesting. And then what I also like to do is to change the screen type. So you can change it to screen, or what I really love to do is change it to classic color dodge. So it kind of gives it kind of like a hot impact like that. So if you look at when you see animated like that, it's so quick you barely notice it, but that's what I like to do. And I think I might even make it even bigger like that. So it's about 30 and or between 25 and 30%. And again, very quick. And then other little details I like to add is I think it actually, no, first of all, before we have a look, let's see what it looks like with the saber. So it looks pretty good so far. And another little detail I'm going to add is just to soften the saber just a little bit. That's too much, like that, because the lightsabers, when you look in the movie, they're slightly blurred. Not too blurred, but it's at least something where it doesn't look too solid. And this one just makes it just look a little bit more credible. Another thing I like to do is go to adjustment layer, put that on top, go to effects, press level, select levels, like that, and then you lower it down and you go to effects, levels, histogram, go back to when the saber makes impact, so right before it makes an impact, put a keyframe there, and then increase the gamma to 2, and then 1, 2, 3, back to 1, and this one just adds a little flash to it. It's not much, again, not too much, but it just adds so much to the actual saber contact. And when you get down to it, that's the basic gist of the effects. So the rest of it, the rest of the things that make the videos I make a little bit unique, is a little bit of the artistic liberties that I like to take. Just those little touches I add to make the sabers look a little bit more unique and make it a little bit more authentic. So this is what I'm going to show you right now. So the first thing I like to do is go back to the beginning of the animation, and once again I'm going to go back to my project, bring in another blast, put that above lightsaber, and I'm going to change the color. I'm going to put tritone on here. I'm going to rename that to Saber Glow. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick that, and I'm going to pick a nice blue that matches, that is fairly similar to Jerry's Saber Glow. Change the scale down. No need to make it too massive. Just put it here. I'm gonna make it maybe that size. That should do. And I'm already gonna put a position keyframe. I'm gonna go back to Gaussian blur again. Once again, blur the hell out of it. So about 150 maybe. And then change it to classic color dodge. In fact, it could really benefit from really being blurred. So maybe even all the way up to 300. Just keep in mind that's all according to the size of the file. And I'm going to slightly deepen the color. Like that. So what I've done is I've added a simple little glow at the hilt of the saber. This one just a little detail to make the lightsaber look a little bit more credible, in that it's clearly a source of heat. It's clearly emanating from somewhere. And so what you can do afterwards, you just follow where the saber went. And always keep to where the hilt is. Doesn't matter if you make too many mistakes. Because unlike the lightsaber, you're not being too precise. What I like to do next is usually try to add a bit of a glow. So what I like to do is duplicate that, and then just keep that there, and then put something called a directional blur. Put that to 90 degrees, and then really blur the amount. Now you can't really notice it because I'm going to make a slight change so you can see it better. So I'm going to put that as like a precise number, copy that, we'll put that to the saber glow as well, and then I'll do another adjustment layer, go to curves, and put that below all the effects. I'm just going to do a little bit of color correction, like that, not too much, might put a little bit of blue, like that, and already you can notice there's a little bit more of a blur. So if you play back what we did before, this is what we've got, and you notice when he moves there's like this massive blur around it, and if you look very carefully in some of the Star Wars films, particularly some of the new ones, they have this effect. So it just makes it look more interesting, it's more visually stimulating, and this is what we have. I could go more further into a lot of details, but this is pretty much the basic gist of it. If you guys liked what you saw, be sure to like, subscribe and share this video, and keep an eye out because I still have a few more of these planned, and I might even potentially do some live streams of this, if that's what you want. If you'd like to see me do more, then be sure to let me know. Hope you enjoyed. This is Gav, signing out.